All empire fall, some with fire, others with a whisper. The final reckoning begins not in the courtroom or the boardroom, but in the silence after the last betrayal. Evelyn Vale no longer mourns what was taken. She remembers. She sharpens it. Every lie they buried with her family name becomes a weapon. Every scar is a signature. The world taught her to bow. Now it will watch her rise. This is not a return. This is a reclamation. Chapter 11, The Boy in the Photograph. History doesn't repeat. It returns armed, older, and wearing your mother's face. The Leckler estate was dust and silence now. But Evelyn returned. Alone. She needed to find something that hadn't yet been tampered with, falsified, or twisted by men with power. She found it tucked in the lining of a velvet box inside the hem of her mother's old evening coat. A photograph. Sepia-toned. Frayed edges. Two boys. One with storm-dark eyes and a sly smile, Cassian Wolf, younger but unmistakable. The other, sharp-cheeked, scar across his brow, older, tense, his hand resting on Cassian's shoulder protectively. He looks like. Her heart stopped. Like the man standing beside Victor Reed 2 nights ago. The one Cassian called Damien Thorne. But here, in this photo, he was wearing the Leckler family crest on his lapel. Back at the Wolf estate, Evelyn laid the photo on the desk. Cassian didn't speak for a long time. His fingers trembled as they touched the edge. I haven't seen this in 15 years. Who is he? She asked. Damien Thorne, he said. But back then, he had another name. He turned the photo over. On the back, to Margot, for choosing love over war. Evelyn froze. My mother? Cassian's voice was raw. She was supposed to marry Damien. The Lecklers and Thorns had been aligned blood families tied by old pacts and newer investments. Her mother, Margot, was the leverage. The peacemaker. But she broke it all. She chose Henry Vale, an ambitious, stubborn dreamer with no old blood but plenty of vision. She walked away from legacy. And Damien? He vanished. No one knew where he went, Cassian said. Not even my father. Then one day, he showed up, behind Victor. So this wasn't just business, Evelyn whispered. It was a broken engagement. A humiliated empire. A man with a scar, and a score to settle. Cassian sat in silence for a long time after. Then, there's more. What? I was there. The night they fought. Damien and your mother. She was crying. He said she'd regret it. He said one day her child would kneel at his feet. Evelyn's breath caught. And then, he left. And the next day, Margot was gone. Married in secret to Henry Vale. Moved to the States. Cut off the Leckler name. And Damien? Cassian met her gaze. Disappeared. Until now. That night, Evelyn stood in the courtyard of the Wolf estate, rain falling silently around her. She wasn't afraid. She was unraveling. It was never about me, she whispered. Cassian came beside her. No, it was about my mother. Her choices. And your bloodline. She turned toward him. What if I don't want to carry her war? Cassian stepped close. Then don't. What if I want to win it? Cassian stepped closer, brushing rain from her cheek with the back of his knuckles. Then I'll burn the path for you. She searched his eyes. Why are you doing this, Cassian? His reply was quiet, barely audible under the patter of rain. Because somewhere between war rooms and blood feuds, I forgot what it was like to want something for myself. Until you. He leaned in then, not with force, but reverence. As if she was something ancient and sacred. Not a battlefield, but a homecoming. Their lips met slowly. Not hunger, not haste. Something deeper, a recognition. And Evelyn, who had guarded herself like a fortress since the day her world burned, let the wall lower. Not all the way, just enough for him to step inside. Later, inside the estate, the fire crackled in the hearth. Her coat hung drying on the chair. His jacket draped over hers. They stood barefoot in silence, facing each other in the warm light. Cassian touched her wrist lightly, running his thumb along the scar from the training ring. I keep telling myself not to fall for you. Evelyn raised an eyebrow, tired but unflinching. Then don't. He smirked, but it held no malice. Only too late. He kissed her again, slower this time, like memorizing a language no one else would ever speak but them. Later still, when the fire dimmed and her head rested on his chest, Evelyn whispered, "You know this can't last." "It doesn't have to," Cassian murmured into her ear. "But while it does, it's ours." She didn't answer, but her fingers curled into his shirt. And for the first time in years, she slept without the ghosts. End of chapter 11. Chapter 12, The Ruin and the Rose. Some crowns are made of gold. Others are made of grief. The invitation bore no seal, no name, just a single word. Ascension. It was held at the Grand Sylvestre Opera House, crimson velvet, crystal chandeliers, and old money shadows. The event was to celebrate emerging bloodlines in global enterprise, which was just a prettier way of saying, watch your ears. They're coming for your thrones. Evelyn arrived in black velvet. No designer tag, no predictable silhouette. A hand-cut custom piece made by an old Leclerc tailor, one who thought the family had died out. "You walk like your mother," he had said. "No," Evelyn replied. She walked away. "I'm walking back." Cassian entered moments later. Not beside her. Never beside her in public. Not yet. But when he looked across the ballroom and their eyes met, it felt like lightning in velvet gloves. Halfway through the evening, Victor Reed arrived. He didn't walk. He strolled, leisurely, with a woman on his arm and Damien Thorne 2 steps behind him. But Evelyn didn't flinch. She waited until the third toast. When her name was called, the heiress of House Vale, and descendant of Leclerc. Every head turned. Victor's smile twitched. Damien's eyes narrowed. Evelyn lifted her glass. "To legacy," she said softly. "And to the weeds we burn to plant roses." Polite applause followed. And behind it, murmurs. A few old men sat straighter. A few women with names like Iron leaned closer. She had made her entrance. Later, in the inner garden terrace, away from the string quartet and champagne, Victor found her, alone. Or so he thought. "Your mother was a graceful woman," he said. Evelyn didn't turn. "You are not allowed to speak her name." Victor stepped closer. "I respected her. You tried to erase her." "No, child. I tried to erase what she betrayed. There's a difference." She turned then, eyes cold, voice razor sharp. "Your legacy isn't threatened by betrayal. It's threatened by truth." "And what truth is that?" "That your empire stands on the bones of women who said no to you." Victor's mouth twitched. "You think you scare me?" "No. I think I remind you of what you couldn't own." Before he could reply, Cassian stepped from the shadows. No coat, no mask, just fury and fire. "Leave," he said. Victor looked between them. "You are making this personal, Cassian." "It always was." Victor left with a smirk. Damien lingered a beat longer. And whispered, "Just for her. You'll die like she did. Only slower." Hours later, Cassian's suite. Evelyn's dress half off, her shoulders bare. Her hands shook as he pressed a cold cloth to her neck. "I didn't break," she whispered. "You never do." He saw her in me. Cassian met her eyes in the mirror. "I see you." He turned her toward him. And this time, the kiss wasn't soft. It was desperate, honest. Hers. She didn't fall into his arms. She dragged him into her world. They made love like war survivors rebuilding with breath and bone. By dawn, she stood at the window while he slept. And whispered into the pale light. "You took everything, Victor. But you gave me purpose. And now I'm coming for everything you kept." End of chapter 12. Chapter 13, Thorns in the Garden. They didn't bury you. They planted you. And now you rise with roots made of rage. The attack wasn't meant to kill her. It was meant to send a message. Evelyn had just left the foundation breakfast meeting, ironically, honoring women of legacy, when the city car was redirected. No gunman, no drama, just a woman in a crisp suit, sliding in beside her in the backseat. A sharp needle to the neck. A blur, a blackout. She woke in a greenhouse. Somewhere on the outskirts of the city. Her wrists were bound with silk ties, elegant, almost ceremonial. And on the center table, a single rose. white, painted red. A man stood behind her. Not Victor, not Damien, but someone she recognized from Wolf Tower. Lucien Ward, Cassian's head of intelligence, the one who had sworn to protect her. Why? She whispered, voice hoarse. He didn't answer. He just lifted her sleeve and branded the Leclerc crest onto her skin with a cold silver seal. He says you've forgotten what you are, Lucien said. I know what I am, Evelyn whispered. Then why do you keep pretending to be someone else's? Cassian didn't knock down the door. He detonated it. By the time he reached her, Lucien was gone. Vanished, like smoke. But Evelyn was alive. And marked. In the estate, Evelyn stood in silence as Cassian ran water over the raw imprint on her wrist. His eyes were glass, rage just beneath the surface. He was one of yours, she said. He was my brother's best friend, he murmured. He branded me. I'll brand him with bullets. She looked at him, exhausted. Do you believe me now? I believed you before, but now I believe in you. There's a difference. He leaned forward, kissed the burn. You are not theirs anymore. That night, the Wolf estate fell into lockdown. But it didn't matter, because Lucien came back, not to finish the job but to kill Cassian. He made it to the upper west corridor before the silent alarm caught him. Cassian fought him off barehanded, bloodied. But it was Jonas who made the kill. Bullet through the head, point blank, no hesitation. I owed you that, Jonas said to Evelyn. For lying before, for letting him mark you. You saved his life, Evelyn whispered, nodding to Cassian. Jonas gave a tired smile. No, he saved mine, the day he chose you. Later, Cassian and Evelyn sat on the floor of the war room. There were no suits, no strategy, just two people, broken, bleeding, alive. He rested his forehead against hers. They'll never stop coming, he said. Then we don't stop burning. I can't lose you, then don't betray me. He looked at her like she was both a miracle and a blade. I'd rather lose the war. And Evelyn finally took his face in her hands and said the words she'd been burying for chapters. Then we win it together. End of chapter 13. Chapter 14, Bloodline. Some inherit wealth, others inherit war. I inherited both. And I chose war. The last piece came from an old voice. A dying one. Victor Reed's father. Bedridden. Forgotten in a private clinic Evelyn bought out under a fake name. He was nearly blind, but the name Margot Vale still made his fingers tremble. She was too proud, he whispered. Should have married Damien. Should have known her place. And when she didn't, Evelyn asked. Ice in her veins. Damien offered a solution. A clean break. I didn't ask questions. And then they burned. All of them. In a car that should have been mine. Evelyn blinked. You mean? They wanted to kill me, not your father. But he drove that night. The old man wheezed a breath that sounded like a curse. And they let it happen. Cassian read the coroner's report 3 hours later. The brakes weren't just cut. They were rerouted, meant to trigger downhill. After a specific GPS marker, Jonas added grimly. This was tech. Cold and clinical. Victor hadn't ordered it directly. Damien had. But Victor had known. And done nothing. Because if fate handed him the legacy, who was he to resist? He built an empire on the ashes of your name, Cassian said softly. Then it's time I take it back. The Gala of Fire was an underground auction held once a decade. The city's most powerful families gathered not in celebration, but in exchange. Wealth, favors, secrets. Evelyn arrived not as a guest, but as a legacy claim. And with one item up for bid. Reed Industries. Ownership, 51% stock. Hidden in shell corporations. Laundered through 8 offshore firms. Now mine. She dropped the proof. And waited. Victor stood, pale, enraged. Damien beside him. You little thief, Victor hissed. I'm not a thief, Evelyn said. I'm the daughter of the man you murdered. The woman you erased. You can't prove. I don't have to. They don't care. She pointed to the circle of elites around them. They don't want justice. They want power. And now I have it. Damien lunged. Too fast. Gun drawn. Cassian moved quicker. A blur of black and blood and flame. One shot. Chest. Second shot. Head. Evelyn didn't flinch. Victor dropped to his knees beside Damien's body. You don't know what you've done. I do, she said coldly. She knelt beside him, whispered so only he could hear. I let you live with it. Then rose, and walked away with everything he thought she'd never touch. The next morning, Evelyn stood on the balcony of Leclerc's restored estate rebuilt brick by brick. Rose garden blooming again. Cassian came behind her, shirtless, half awake, a scar over his ribs that hadn't healed yet. It's done, she whispered. No, he corrected. It's begun. She turned to him. I never meant to fall. You didn't, he said softly. You rose, and I climbed after you. She smiled, and kissed him like she owned every version of herself. The girl who burned, the woman who rebuilt, and the fire who now ruled the city. The end. Epilogue, the quiet before power. Not all saviors wear armor. Some simply remember who you were when the world forgot. 6 months later, a private island, Cassian's retreat, waves, silence, no security, no suits, no wars, just them. Evelyn stood barefoot in the sand, toes curling into the wet shoreline, holding a weathered envelope. Cassian approached quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. You found it, he said, nodding to the letter. Jonas gave it to me. Said you never meant for me to see it. She opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph. Old. Torn at the corner. 2 teenagers. A girl barefoot, fire-eyed. A boy watching her like she held gravity. You were there, she said softly. The summer at Lake Argent. Cassian nodded. My family was visiting the whales. Your father wanted a merger before it all turned into blood. We played for 1 afternoon. You beat me at chess. Then stole my sandwich. I was 7. And I was 12. But I remember it. Not your name. Not your family. Just you. He sat beside her in the sand. Years later, when I saw your face again in the Wolf Files, I knew. I didn't know what had happened to you, but something in me said, find her. Protect her. Evelyn looked at him, eyes softer than they'd ever been. You were the boy. No, he said quietly. You were the storm. I was just lucky enough to be caught in it. She leaned her head on his shoulder. It doesn't scare you? Who I've become? You think I fell in love with you because you were broken? He murmured. I fell for the girl who lit fires with her words. And for the woman who walked into her enemy's city and never flinched. You are not mine to control, Evelyn. But I'm yours, if you'll have me. She didn't answer with words. Just took his hand and placed it on her heart. This, she whispered, was buried in ash. And you helped me find it. He smiled. And together, on the edge of a world they'd rebuilt, they watched the tide come in. End of epilogue. Cassian Pav epilogue, a crown that burned. She never needed saving, but I needed her to survive. She didn't remember me, not then. And I don't blame her. We were children. 1 summer, 1 day, but it changed everything for me. She was barefoot, wild-haired, chewing on a strawberry and beating me in chess with moves she made up on the spot. You can't just make the knight jump over the board twice, I said, confused. I can, she shrugged. Because he's not a knight. He's a traitor pretending to be one. That line stayed with me. For years. Even when I forgot her face, I remembered that fire. The kind that doesn't burn, it chooses what to destroy. Years later, I read the name Whale in a Wolf Holdings merger file. Dead. All of them. No survivors. Declared an accident. But my gut said different. I found a sealed photograph from the investigation. Burned at the edges. Her face young, terrified, carried out by paramedics. Still alive. And hidden ever since. That was when I made my choice. Protect her. No matter what it costs. So I buried the file. I moved pieces in silence. Shifted power in her favor. I whispered to Jonas, if she ever resurfaces, guard her like a kingdom. He asked, why? I said, because she was fire long before she became ash. And I want to see what she burns when she rises. When we met again, I pretended not to know her. She pretended she didn't need anyone. It was a lie for both of us. But I waited until I saw the way she walked into Reed's territory without flinching. Until I watched her outthink men who had ruled the city for decades. Until I realized she wasn't my weakness, she was my equal. And still, I never planned to touch her. Not until the night she stood bleeding on my doorstep, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "Don't treat me like glass. I've already shattered." She made me want things I shouldn't. Softness, peace, something like forever. But I knew if I tried to own her, I'd lose her. So I stood beside her, protected her, fell for her in silence. Until the silence wasn't enough. Until she kissed me back. And now when I look at her, when she walks into rooms with kings and killers and they all lower their eyes, I know the truth. I didn't save her. She saved me from a kingdom of wolves. End of Cassian Pav Epilogue. Prequel chapter, Lake Argent. Age, Evelyn, 7. Cassian, 12. The Vale summer home was all glass and laughter that season. Evelyn was barefoot again, trailing leaves through marble floors and leaving her governess scandalized. Her father's business guests had brought their sons. Polite, stiff-collared boys with cold eyes. Except one, Cassian Wolf. He sat alone by the lake with a book he wasn't reading. Evelyn spotted him from a tree branch and decided, without ceremony, that he would be her victim for the day. "Do you always frown when you read?" she asked, plopping down. Cassian didn't look up. "Do you always climb trees in silk?" "Yes, because I like when it shocks people. I don't shock easily." "You're boring, then." He raised an eyebrow. She grinned. "I'm Evelyn," she said. "Cassian, your name sounds like a villain's." "Maybe I'll be one." "You are too clean to be a villain. You'd cry after stabbing someone." That made him laugh. She liked the sound of it. She pulled out a travel chess set. "Play with me. You know how? I make up better rules." "That's not how it works. It is if you win." And she did win. Because halfway through, he started letting her. Not because he pitied her. But because he was enchanted by this girl with leaves in her hair and war in her blood. When she beat him, she leaned close. "You are not like the others. You watch people, like you want to know their weaknesses. And you don't? No, I want to know where they break." He blinked. "What happens when you find out?" She stood, brushing dirt from her knees. "I decide if they deserve to stay broken." Later, when she disappeared into the house, and her laughter was swallowed by walls and wine, Cassian kept the broken chessboard. And whispered to himself, "If she ever comes back into my life, I'll follow her into fire." He didn't know then that fire would come first. End of prequel. Final bonus chapter, Legacy. We are not defined by what we lost. We are defined by what we chose to become. 10 years later, somewhere far from the city, where no one calls them rulers, where Evelyn is not Vale, not fire, not feared. Here, she is Evelyn Wolf. And the man beside her is not the CEO of an empire. He is simply Cassian, her husband. The vineyard is quiet in early spring. Wine's not yet green. Earth still sleeping. A little girl races between the rows barefoot, wild-haired, holding a crooked chess piece in her hand. Evelyn watches her daughter, heart full of something too sacred for words. Cassian walks up behind her, arms circling her waist. "She's you," he murmurs into her neck. "God help the world," Evelyn whispers, smiling. They're older now. Not old. Just seasoned. Stronger in different ways. Softer in others. The city still fears them. Wolf International and Vale Lux stand merged. Unbeatable. But the woman who once lived for vengeance now lives for stillness. Not weakness. Not surrender. But a quiet she earned, piece by piece. Later that night, Cassian finds her in the library, watching the fire. He kneels before her, not because he must, but because it's where he chooses to be. "You saved a broken boy who watched the world through glass," he says. "And you gave a shattered girl the right to rewrite her name." She lifts his hand, kisses the scar on his knuckle. "Do you regret anything?" She asks. He doesn't hesitate. Only that I didn't find you sooner. You did, she says softly. I just wasn't ready to remember. Their daughter bursts in, a whirlwind of questions and tangled hair. Mama, what does legacy mean? Evelyn kneels, takes her daughter's face in her hands. It means you carry everything we built. Not the pain, not the war, but the strength that came after. The little girl thinks, nods solemnly, like fire that doesn't hurt anymore? Exactly. And in that quiet house, built far from blood and thrones, Evelyn Woolf finally closes the last chapter of her war, and begins the first chapter of her daughter's world, where fire is no longer feared, but inherited. The end. Fully, truly, completely. The war did not end with blood. It ended with truth, spoken like a blade. Evelyn Vale did not need a crown. She became the throne, and when they asked who she was, she answered with a name that echoed through the ruins they left behind. I am every woman you tried to silence. And I remember everything.